Former President Biden is speaking out publicly for the very first time about his Autopen controversy as the White House and House Republicans step up their investigations.
Lucas Tomlinson live in Washington with more. Lucas.
Well, good early morning, Carly and Todd. President Trump has ordered an investigation into Joe Biden's use of the Autopen as the president alleges his predecessor's aides hid his cognitive decline. Now Biden, as you mentioned, responded to those allegations in a new statement saying he knew what he was doing. Quote, "Let me be clear. I made the decisions during my presidency. I made the decisions about the pardons, executive orders, legislation, and proclamations. Any suggestion that I didn't is ridiculous and false." And before that statement, Trump ordered the White House counsel, in consultation with his attorney general, to review the matter. In a memo, the White House says, quote, "Former President Biden's aides abused the power of presidential signatures through the use of an Autopen to conceal Biden's cognitive decline and assert Article II authority." Now, here's a list of former Biden White House officials being asked for interviews: Michael Donlin, Anita Dunn, Ronald Klain, Bruce Reed, and Steve Ricchetti. Another Beltway news in a new tell-all book, as you teased off the top, former Biden White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says she has ditched the Democratic Party and is now an independent.
In an era of misinformation, disinformation, the regressiveness of social policy, what we're seeing currently right now, what I have decided to do, and I really have thought long and hard about this, is to follow my own compass. And that's what I've done. And that's what this book does. It's about looking outside of boxes, not just always being in a partisan stance.
Not all Biden officials are buying it, sniping anonymously that she's still spinning, saying, quote, "Everyone thinks this is a grift. She made a joke about being an independent last year, and now it's a book. All ideas are monetary, even the dumb ones." Those don't sound like ringing endorsements there, guys.
Yeah,
Carly,
it didn't sound to me from the reporting that you just reported and other sources that I read that she was well liked in the Biden White House, and it seems like that party could not be in more disarray than they are.
I mean, I shouldn't be surprised at anything anymore. I'm genuinely shocked by this. She was the whole face of the Biden. We certainly weren't seeing him.
Right.
So she was the whole face of the party and the White House, and now she's saying, never mind, essentially.
And now in an about face.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And Lucas, if you could do us a
Lucas.
favor, look into whether or not she used binders to write her book, like many binders from the podium that she used to write.
She kept all those binders. That'd fill up a room.
Yeah. Lucas Tomlinson.
She's got the documents.
Live for us this morning. Thanks, Lucas.
How about this? Former Biden Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre is rolling out her brand new book with the announcement she is leaving the Democrat Party and becoming an independent.
What I have decided to do, and I really have thought long and hard about this, is to follow my own compass. I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think outside of our boxes and not be so partisan.
Former advisor to Donald Trump, Jason Miller, joins me now. Jason, good morning to you. What the heck happened here? I mean, Karine Jean-Pierre was the face of the Biden administration because we certainly weren't seeing him. And she was the one telling us every single day that everything is okay and this is the direction our country should be going in. And now she is choosing her own compass. She's out.
Good morning. It's great to be with you. Now, many people are mocking Karine Jean-Pierre, but I actually think that she was one of the biggest geniuses in the Democrat Party and in the former Biden administration. I'm going to tell you why. She never let John Kirby anywhere near that podium, never let him anywhere near be the lead press secretary for the Biden administration. Even when they had the big hostage deal to announce, she kept him blocked. She had a lock on that podium. Now she realizes that Democrats are complete dumpster fire, that it's an embarrassment to have any association with Joe Biden. So she's saying, you know what? I want to be on some boards. I want to join maybe a PR firm or something of that nature. I'm going to say I'm an independent. So laugh all you will at KJP. She knows to run, not walk away from the Democrats.
Well, she did spend a lot of time at the podium trying to convince the American people that President Biden was cognitively fit for office. She used one word that I'm sure you will remember. She used it very often. Listen to her here.
I think you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith. The right-wing critics of the president have a credibility problem because of the fact checkers have repeatedly caught them pushing misinformation, disinformation.
And obviously, they weren't cheap fake videos. We knew it then. We know it now. And now President Trump has officially ordered an investigation into President Biden's fitness during his time in office and if aides deceived the American people. And I'm wondering if her decision to leave the party and what she says in her book, and we don't know what it is yet, but could that factor into the investigation?
Well, you make a really good point here, because guess what? The subpoenas are coming. And KJP, like I said, you might think you can get away from the Democrat Party, but you're not going to be able to, because it is going to follow you. The decisions that KJP and other Biden enablers made ended up costing Americans lives. What they did with opening up the borders, allowing the 15 to 20 million illegals to come in, ended up to young women like Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungaray and Rachel Morin being killed. It caused the out-of-control inflation that crushed the hopes and dreams of so many Americans during the Biden-Harris administration. And so there is going to be a reckoning, because Joe Biden's he doesn't know what's going on. In fact, when they tell Joe Biden that these subpoenas are coming, they're going to probably have to remind him he was even president. He has no clue at all. But guess what? You cannot get away from the record, and KJP is going to have to answer for what her and others did.
Yeah, well, President Biden released a statement saying that he was in charge, but now there's going to be an investigation to confirm that. Okay, so Elon Musk made it very clear this week that he does not like the big, beautiful bill. Yesterday, he posted this: call your senator, call your congressman, bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill. And now, Jason, there's this Wall Street Journal piece out right now that says Trump is losing patience with Elon Musk over this. So where does the relationship stand right now?
Well, I think that's one of the things, just going to go to the fact that I never heard Elon Musk take this type of criticism toward the one big, beautiful bill back when the EV mandates and the EV tax credits were a part of the budget. And so it was only after all that was removed that we saw some of this criticism. I'm never going to go and judge someone for weighing in or voicing their opinion if they want to try to improve the bill, if they want to try to improve the process. Keep in mind, it's still going through the Senate right now. This thing is going to change. But when you come out and attack it like that and say you want to kill it, guess what? The only thing that you're pushing for is a $4.5 trillion tax increase. We need this bill so we can fully keep the border secure, so we can keep taxes low, pass the no taxes on tip or overtime or Social Security. But we have to stop this $4.5 trillion tax hike, which is coming. That's why I think the Elon Musk criticism is so insincere, because I never heard it before. So guess what? At this point, either you're part of the solution or you're part of the problem. And unfortunately, I think Elon Musk is making it clear where he is.
You know what, Jason? Axios had a piece out yesterday saying that he's attacking the bill for other reasons, not really tied to the bill. Like, apparently he was deeply upset that Trump withdrew the nomination of the NASA administrator, and he wanted Starlink to be used for various other reasons. He wanted to stay in his government role longer than 130 days. Do you think that that's what's driving this criticism?
Well, it sounds like a little bit of revisionist history to me. But here's the thing, is that President Trump is giving us the opportunity to keep taxes low. He's given us the opportunity to keep our border secure. And this is ultimately President Trump's party. The thing, though, is everyone's got to remember is that the president can't go and write literally his own budget and say he's just going to pass it by fiat. The Constitution says it has to go through Congress. That's the process. And guess what? You have 435 members of the House, 100 over in the Senate. They're going to go do their congressional Capitol Hill thing. So it's not, again, it's not the one big perfect bill. Yeah. It's one big beautiful bill. But we have to get this through. Otherwise, it's a $4.5 trillion tax hike. We got to support President Trump right now.
Yeah, you have to live in reality. And with slim margins in the House, there's no way a bill with deeper spending cuts than what's in there right now would ever pass. So it looks like this thing is moving full steam ahead to the 4th of July. Jason, thanks so much for waking up early and joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.